Today we're going to add the sorting part to our search window. We'll start by opening up the client-side DOM. We're going to create a field. It's going to be B, who group size. It's going to be type integer, and it'll be the size of the group player is in. Once we create this, we'll copy it to the server before we add it to the class. Then once we copy it, we'll be able to add it to our who-data class. There'll be 3 fields in there currently. And then we'll go to the server DOM. And we will add it to our who-data on the server side. Next, we'll look at our GUI editor in our social window. We're going to make a few changes in there. We're going to add a panel. It's going to be called Search. Its position will be 5'5", size 340/240, and the default color of transparent. After we create our search panel, we're going to add some of our current values to it. So they're all connected in the panel here. We're going to add the title in. That will be at the top. Our info will be next. This will also be at top directly under it. Our scrollable panel will be adding in. This will have a change of dock mode to true. And our amount will also be a label, and it'll just be up in this section here. Next, in our info section here, we're going to change these labels into buttons. Start by selecting the main panel, info, and then we will add a button to it. In this button, we will change some values. We will take the texture and remove it so that it doesn't show up. We will set the name to name, size, dock mode left, so our button will be same location as our current label. We're then going to set the size to 80. Our color for both the default and the hover will be transparent. For our text label, the label inside that button, we're going to change a few values there. We're going to set our default value to green, 0101. We're going to set the display font to jumbo. We're going to set a drop shadow to 1. And we're going to set the text to name with capital. This will replace our label. Once we move it in there, we're going to click the send backward in the group until it gets just under the spacer. And then we're going to delete the name label. Next, we'll select the name. Move the cursor out to here, so Control C. Then go back to info and add in, using Control V, 4 more buttons. Then for each button, we will change its name here. We'll set its size to the same as the label of the same name. The transparent should be there already from the copy. Dock mode should be there from the copy. And our text value, we're going to set the text value here. And the other parts should be there from the copy. Then we'll do the same thing for level and the text, and our area and the text, and our group and the text. After that, we will remove the individual labels of the same name, and they should just fall right into order here. Then we'll be able to save and exit this editor. Next, we're going to open the Be Social panel, and we're going to change the Ignore Mouse Events to false, so that when we bring the mouse over it, it's going to interact with it. Then we can save and close this GUI. Next, we'll start with the scripts. In Be Social panel, if we don't have this one, create it from the DOM. Click on the Social panel in the Client DOM, Social panel, and then click on the Open Script, which will be available if we click Read Only Off. We can then open the script and get the same name. Here we're going to add two functions. It will be on mouse enter, have the args as an input. Target will be a GUI control, and we use arg source for its value. Now, where the target is kind of a social panel, it's the same class, we're going to say the target hover position, the color is going to be set to a bluish. Now, if the target is the label, we're going to set target parent. Default position is going to be also bluish. Now on the mouse leave, the difference here is pretty much copy paste, and then we're going to change our values to all ones, which will reset it, and 0, which means won't show. The panel will be transparent again. We can then compile and submit this script. Our next script we're going to look at is miscellaneous utils. We're going to add a public function that's going to check our value here. It's going to have a number for an integer, and it's going to put out a string for us. What this will do is check any value, and we're going to say a number is less than 10. It's going to be 1 digit, and we're going to add an A to the front of that digit. This will make it easier since our sort value will only sort by strings, and it will sort a list. So we're going to turn this number into a string value. If it's that number is under 100, in other words, it has only 2 digits, it's going to have B in the front of that number. Under 1,000, it's going to have a C in front for 3 digits. And under 10,000, it's going to have a D for 4 digits. This can keep going as long as you have a need for higher numbers. After that, we can return the value of the string. Then we can compile and submit this script. Our next script we'll look at will be the B button script. Here it's going to have something similar to the social panel, where we have the on mouse enter, on mouse leave. We're going to add those two in. Difference here is when the target is a B button type class, we're going to set a color as class RGBA, and we're going to call miscellaneous utils to make our color with red. And when we enter the button, it will show as red for our value. And what we're going to set is our GUI label, which was found by using me text. Then we're going to set both the default and the hover state presentations to that color. The mouse leave will be basically the same, except we're going to set our color to a green. Then we can compile and submit this script. Next, we'll take a look at the Be Social window. We're going to do a search for set search info. And here we're just going to add in the word public so that we can call it from another client script. We're going to do the same thing with our update info. Add in public so it too can be called. We're also going to add in some values. On the show search window, we're going to change our little parenthesis quotes. Where we get a double quote, we're going to add in player B who class, player B who level, player B who group size. What these will do is the first value will come in, it'll be a 0, so it won't show anything, it'll be just like the double quotes. Down in the update, we'll add the same thing, B who class, B who level, B who group size. These two might already be here, so we'll be mostly changing this one. These will be coming in with actual values and they'll show up. One more change we're going to set here. We're going to change the word client to search. This will be useful when we add in our other panel, which will also be a client, but it will have our friend list. We'll add in the search here. And that should be good for that part. Down here, we'll add in variable search here and search here. At the bottom of the script, where we have the get client area, we're going to change it to get search area. Then we'll add in our search panel that we created and a dot in between, so that'll look for all three of these for our search area. Next, we're going to add a few functions. We're going to add a mouse interaction, which will be on mouse click, and args for input. You'll have target as a GUI control, and it'll be arg source. Now, arg's left button, we can check either button, but here we're going to check the left one. When the target name, the GUI control, is name, we're going to call me, which is a method, sort name. When it's class, we're going to call me sort class. Level will be me sort level. Area will be me sort area. Group, me sort group. Next, we'll come to the sorting area and we'll define our method sort name. This is going to sort by the player name. It's going to have who list as a lookup list of b who data equals me who data list. That can be found up in the update, so we just copy paste that. We'll have a data list that we're going to create, and the value is a string that we'll use temporarily. Here's our loop. It's going to build a string from the index list. For each player in our who list up here with its class info, we're going to take the lower value in the who list of that player, and we're going to get the player name. Then we're going to add 2 dashes and the actual player info. Oh, the player in that who list just is info. Then we'll add back this value to our data list. So it's going to be a string value here, and it's going to contain the player name and the player's name that came in here, which we're going to use for our sort. We will then jump to another method called ready sort list. and this will take in our data list that we created, and it will specify name. That's what we're going to, similar to up here, it's going to do the name. This is pretty much a copy paste. We're going to change the word class here and be who class here. That's for their sorting the class. Now for the level, it's going to be a little bit different. It's pretty much copy paste, but we're going to add a level as an integer. We're going to use that integer, and we're going to get back a value. It's going to be the who level coming in as an integer. We will then take that level as the integer, send it through our check value function we made in utils. That will give us back a string value. We'll then add the 2 dashes and the player value. And as a full string, we're going to add that to our data list. So we'll make a list of those. Here we'll send it to our ready sort with level. The sort area is similar to the class and name. The difference will be the who area name and area. The group sort will be just like the level here. We're going to use B group size. We're going to send the size as an integer to get our value. And then we're going to send it to the sort list using group. Now in our ready sort list, we're going to have 2 values coming in. Our data list, which is a list of strings, and sorted, we're going to create a new list from them. And we're going to have our sorted coming in, so we're going to change part of that. Players as a list of who data. Our sorted list is going to be our new list of string. Data is a string and value is a string. We just need to call sort the data list, and this will sort it alphabetically, which is why we need it into a string. Now here's another value we may need to make in our DOM. We're going to create a string variable, and we're going to add it to the Be Social window. Now this is going to check to see if our sorted value, which comes in as group, if we double clicked it, click it once, it'll sort it forward, and click it again, it'll sort it backward. Now first time it'll come in, it'll have group here, and this variable will be empty. It'll be 2 quotes. And then for each value in our data list, add front the value of sorted list. So if we're sorting it backwards, we're just going to add it to the front instead of the back. It just flips the list around. This will be based on our data list, so we're going to take that sorted list and just assign it to our data list. Our sorted value will then be zeroed out, saying we've reversed it. And that will be sorted, saved to this value. So first time in, if this is name, it will say it's not equal, so it won't do it. The second time in, name will be here, it will be set to it, and it will come in and say, yes, now we're going to reverse it. Then we have a list at the end that builds our list to show for the players. Here we have for each player in the data list, we're going to grab the substring of player, this value, starting at the first one, and we're going to find those double dashes, which is the reason we added those in. Here it's going to start in our source of the player. It's going to look for those dashes, add one for our offset, which is needed, and this will be the ending point of our substring. So it's basically going to take that and make it a string so that we can use that string in our list and blank out that value with replace string. Then we will add back who list, subdata, which is a value that's now a name. So we're extracting the name from that, and we will then add it to our players list. So we can make our list to show our search info with the players. Then we can compile and submit this script. If we are the only player on, only dev on working in there, and we don't have a list of players that we can run through our search window, I've added a script called testing sorts. This will add in some fake names and values into our search in order to test the sorting routines. Now these will be remote functions called from the server side. Start out as win equals social class. This will be the same social class as the window one. We'll be adding that down here, function, social window. It's going to look for that same window. Here we'll add in our who list, which is the same value from the other one. Same copy paste this here. Now our who is class who data, and these we're going to add in certain ones. The character name, we're just going to throw in a value here. You can use whatever you want. I've just selected Albert so that we have names that start with a different letter. Who area, just some random name you can put in here, and our instance is just going to be a string value to show that it's in this area, this instance. So if you had two with the same area names, it might not look for different instances of those. And then to save this info, we're going to save it in the who list, which is currently just the players online right now. And we're going to add who character name as an offset and to save the who data. We do this for each of these, just setting in some random ones. These are pretty much copy paste for 4 of them here. You can have 3, 4, or more. After that, we're going to save the list by saying win who data list, which is where we got the original value, and we're going to save our who list to that. We will then call social window class methods to set search win info with our who list, and it will have our B window saved on it. Next, we're going to have the create a remote function test update sort, and this is going to update just like our characters update when it gathers their info. This is just going to throw some more info in. We'll have our get social for the window, our who list, and our who class. Here we'll be having basically the same, and we're just going to add in 3 more variables. The be who class, the who level, and the who group size. These are just some numbers we threw in, some random value for our class in order to test the sorting. Now your actual class may be different from this one. We then save the who list, and the difference here is after each one we create, we're going to call a social window and update that info with that who. We'll be creating the same amount here, I've got 4, as we did here, and the same basic info for the top 3 on each one of these. Here we got a class, a level, might get to that level, might not, and a size of 15 for a group, just in here for testing. Class, level, and group size. Different sizes, values that we can test. Then we just add that and update our data list with the who list and the class at the bottom. Then we can compile and submit this script. Next, we're going to go into the server side script and be social server. Here we're going to add in the 2 calls for our testing, and in the get world list we're going to add in call client account testing sorts, and this will be calling testing sorts function. We will also add in down here send player data, and this will call a client account testing sorts test update sort. One more thing we'll add is the player and the get player data. We will add in the player, set the who group size equal to 1 until we get a function that we can call. Then we can compile and submit this script. With everything working, we should be able to test this out on our escape window with our options. Still looking at the search window, and we should have our player's name will probably be up top for anybody who's online, and then our test data will be below that. Now, as we added the value for the mouse, we will be able to move the mouse over the names at the top, and it will change it to our enter and leave values. Now, if we click on them, it will sort through this list based on the category below it. So the name will sort the names A, F, M, T, and Z. We click it again, it will reverse it. C, T, M, F, and A. The class, it will sort based on class and reverse sort. Now we still have our 15-second update, which will give us back our original list, and the player will be up top again. The level will work with our forward and reverse. Our areas. Now here, if we had two names the same and the scripting at the end, it might sort it based on that since it's going through the string. And the size will work. And that's our tutorial for the sorting.